Hi everyone, welcome to Life Unfiltered. I'm your host Baz, and today's guest is an exceptional person. We've been friends for as long as I can remember. Aleem is a professional athlete and who has an incredibly talented athlete daughter. And today we're going to be talking about parenting, how to bring up athlete kids, how to get your kids into sport. And he has recently opened the 254 Racquet Club, which is built and designed to get all kids and parents to come in, learn sport, and play sports together. Welcome to the podcast, Aleem.
Thank you. Thanks.
How are you today?
Nervous. It's my first one, but no, good.
Okay.
I'm doing it for you because you're my friend.
Well, thank you. I'm very honored.
My longtime friend.
We are very long-time friends.
Yes.
How long have we known each other?
You'll reveal your age.
I don't want to. I was just gonna say I don't want to reveal my age, but I think over
30 years, easy.
Oh my God,
over 30 years.
Over
easy.
30 years. Yeah.
Easy.
So that makes me 35. So
And
I've
for the
known you
record,
since I was 5.
You're older than me, just for the record.
I don't look older.
No,
than
I'm
you.
kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but thank you so much for coming, and
No,
I
my
think
pleasure.
I'm really happy to speak to someone like you who has a lot of experience in sport.
Thank you.
Who has a background in sport, who has a daughter who's amazing at sports.
Yeah.
So I think this is really, and your both brothers are in sports.
Yeah, more recreationally, but yeah, they definitely come from a sporting family. My parents were always very sporty.
Okay. So I
Very
think
into sports,
You
yeah.
can just tell us, for people who don't know you, although I don't know too many people who don't know you, you're quite popular.
Thank you.
But
In a good way.
I hope so. But for people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Aleem. I've born and raised in Kenya, in Nairobi. Moved to Canada when I was young, about 16, and always been involved in sports. So I played for Kenya in tennis. I actually started with badminton. Badminton was my first sport.
Yes.
So I competed in badminton. I was Kenya's under 12 number 1, under 15 number 1. Then I moved over to tennis because my dad loved tennis. Even though he didn't play much of it, he loved tennis, so it kind of directed me that way, and I fell in love with tennis. Mm-hmm. And tennis was, and then I competed in tennis, moved to Canada. I went to the US on a tennis scholarship in university.
Wow.
Played a lot of tennis there, played some great tennis. Coached a bit in the middle everywhere. And then just always was involved with sports, I mean, I let it go for a bit of time when I started my career in the financial district in Toronto. But, tennis always was in the background of part of my life.
Okay.
Gave me my first job in the financial district, go figure. And fast forward to 25 years later, we're back in Kenya, and we opened East Africa's first pay-as-you-play multi-racket sport club.
Wow. Okay.
In Loresho, and it's called the 254 Racquet Club.
I've been there. It's stunning.
Thank you. Thank you.
But let's just go back a little bit in terms of, so for somebody who grew up with sport, somebody who was always exposed to sport, you said your parents played sport.
They did.
How
yeah.
did that impact your life growing up? Was sport a big part of it? What do you feel was the benefit of sport in your
For sure.
life?
I always saw my mom and dad playing. Even if we go on picnics, they'd be playing. My dad would be playing cricket. Mm-hmm. Or my mom and dad would be playing badminton, and I remember going to Racquet Club with them, and I would sit there and watch them play at 7 p.m. at night.
Wow.
While they were playing with their mixed doubles partners, and I would wait for an hour and a half just to play 10 minutes with my mom. And so I always had this this inclination to be into sport, you know. And so my mom would play with me after playing an hour and a half. She says, "All right, come play." And then my dad wouldn't play with me because I wasn't good enough. And then when I started beating my mom, then my dad said, "Okay, fine." And then when I got too good, he's like, "No, you can't play with me anymore."
So that was your incentive. You feel like watching your parents.
Yeah, for sure.
And you think that was that kind of molded you as a athlete.
For sure.
Being able to see your parents playing sport.
100%. And I always loved sport. My grades were always half, they were so-so. Mm-hmm. But sports, PE or sports, I was always excelling in school, right? Whether it was track and field or whatever was there at school, right? So.
But it's interesting because I feel like that's how we know each other. From a young age, I used to come to Aga Khan Sports Club, and my incentive was a little bit different. There were always hot guys on the court, so I wanted to play sport.
Your words, not mine. Your words, not mine.
There were actually all the hot guys always played tennis.
Yeah.
And so, you know, me and my friends would be there, and I played badminton as well. But I feel like I didn't have the role models. Like I didn't have the parents who played sport, or at least I didn't. My mom used to play badminton when she was younger, but I never watched her play.
Sure.
And so I feel like I got into sport myself. I really enjoyed playing it, but I never had that incentive to take it further. It was just like recreational, like you said, your brothers are. You know, I would play for a couple hours. I would enjoy it, or, you know, like I said, it's the place to get picked up and be flirted with or flirt. And it was just something super casual for me.
Yeah.
And I admire people like you who had that role model and said, okay, actually, it's not just, you know, like your dad said, unless you're good at playing, I'm not going to play with you.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's, in my opinion, that's a little bit of tough love, but it made you want to be a better player.
100%. Yeah, it gave me, motivation to be better. I mean, that was just one event, you know. But there's like, I always was very drawn to sport. You know, I would watch Becker versus Edberg, you know, in Wimbledon. You know, I would watch Lendl McEnroe, like that's just slightly before that. Then you move on to Sam. So I always had this love for tennis, and you know, this inspiration to just be as good as I could be.
And so you now have a daughter who's exceptional.
Thank you.
And do you feel like this has motivated you to share the same passion with your daughter?
Yeah, you know, I started her when she was 3, 3.5. We just started playing with tennis, just, you know, just for fun. Because at that age, it's about the fun. It's not about making them serious. It's about making them, you know, teach them hand-eye coordination. Just love the sport, or love sport in general.
Right.
And also for her, seeing me playing was giving her that same motivation that I had as a kid. And you know, I'm just glad she got into racket sports. I mean, any sport is good, honestly. I think for children, for kids, any sport is good. It's a good outlet for a whole bunch of stuff. But you know, I'm biased towards racket sports for sure.
When did you notice that she actually had what it took to be? I mean, your daughter is exceptional. For those of you who don't know, she has recently won the advanced paddle
ladies paddle tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's actually, I mean, I've watched her play and I've played with her. She has a complete natural knack for racket sports. And so did you find that you kind of identified that she was going towards this direction from a young age, or do you feel like you almost had to mold her into that? Like, how was the balance between saying that she's actually very good at it from a young age, or I have to be a part of making sure that she excels in the sport?
Yeah, you know, she always had good hand-eye coordination. So there's these little triggers that I saw that you know, she would be good in racket sports. You know, she also didn't like the other kind of sports, like, you know, football, or it's not that she didn't like it, but she kind of preferred the others more, the racket sports. So I noticed it when we moved to Canada. Then we kind of she kind of let go of tennis because I let go of tennis because we were starting out there, and you know, we were busy. But we took her back into it, and she really progressed very quickly. So you know, without putting too much pressure on her, I noticed naturally she was evolving into tennis. And she, you know, paddle was something she just started as for fun. She just started for fun maybe a year ago. Okay. But because she played tennis, it gave her such a leg up on paddle, right?
And you said that you started to get her the skill from the age of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And you think that, you know, speaking to other parents out there who would probably want or are looking for a sport for their kids to get into, is this a good age?
100%.
Or do you feel like if they're a little bit older, they've missed out on those formative years?
Look, the good thing with kids, in my opinion, it's never too late. Okay. You know, so 3, 4 is a good time. I mean, I know some golf pros who started their kids early as well. Even in football, one of my close friends in Canada's kids are super talented in football. He started them at 3, 4. I mean, I don't think it's a precursor to success, but it's a good way to develop good habits.
Sure.
Right? It's a good way to develop habits that the kids, you know, stay in there. They build discipline. They build the coordination. It's very important, right?
Yeah, I see that with my nephew. I mean, he does go for tennis camp sometimes. Yeah. However, what I have noticed is that he's really drawn towards football, and he is really good at it. Yeah. You know, you see how he stops the ball. You know, he puts his foot on it, and then how he kicks, and then that excitement of of shooting a goal and winning, and all of that is also lent to that mindset of, I want to be a winner. I want to be someone that's good at this sport.
And you said it right. Like, even though he did tennis camp, for example, your nephew, he leaned towards soccer. So it's important for parents to kind of understand that the child will find his or her own rhythm. And it might not be the sport you want, but it's a sport.
Right.
So, and I for me, I'm at that intersection as well, where my daughter's like, she likes tennis, but she loves paddle. Or she loves tennis, but she adores paddle. So, I have to kind of, I have to accept that.
And I was just going to say, so you come from a certain mindset, and I guess it goes with our age as well, that tennis was that sport for you.
Yeah.
And how have you had to change the way that you feel about the sport to say, okay, I've built this tennis athlete, and now I have to give her a little bit of freedom to move towards. I can see it on your face. Okay,
it's one of those, like, it's not a painful journey, but it's where you have to accept that your child needs to find his own path.
Right.
And at the age of 14 in competitive sport is usually the time when they start choosing the sport that they want. It happened to me at like I said, I was playing badminton and tennis, and then at 13 I automatically just gravitated towards tennis. And a lot of kids will do that. We have at our sports club, we have a tennis academy. A lot of the kids at that age, between 11 and 14, are playing multiple sports.
Right.
And I think it's excellent, by the way. I don't think you should play one sport only. I think you should play multiple sports. And then at the age of 13, 14, 15, when you're competitive, you need to pick a lane.
Okay.
So I think that's advice I would give to parents whose kids are in multiple sports. Let them be in it. Let them be in it, because it develops different types of skills.
I guess it's like school. You take different
100%.
classes in school.
100%.
Nobody says, you have to be a mathematician or you have to go into science or a doctor right away. You kind of dabble in a whole bunch of classes, and then you come to the point where you're like, okay, this is where I feel like my passion or my intellect.
And you find your path. Yeah. So I think it's very important to do that, because if you pigeonhole them into one sport and they dedicate 10 years, 15 years to it and then don't like it, then it's a disservice to them.
And I've seen that a lot, I think, in not only with sport, again, with classes or a certain career, where parents have really dictated what they want their child to be. And then they go out, they go to university, they graduate, they have PhDs in this. And then all of a sudden they wake up and they're like, I hate everything about this. I'm going to change my path. So I guess giving them a little bit of wiggle room or room to grow into their own space and find what they love.
For sure. And it's not easy. Listen, for a parent, it's never easy to let go of those reins. My daughter's still 14, she's still young. There's parents who are way more experienced than me, but I think I'm at that intersection where I have to let her see what works best for her.
I hope she's listening to this podcast.
Hopefully she doesn't. No.
So another thing I wanted to say is that also there's a lot of sacrifices that need to be made as a parent.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your parents have done this, so maybe you can speak to both if you know both sides. To mold a child into someone who's going to go into a professional sport.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, there's certain things that you've had to sacrifice or things that you've had to do in order to make sure that her life is going towards this path?
That's a very good question, because parents realize it, but they don't realize the amount of time and energy needs to be put in as a parent. And financially, but as time as well. To developing competitive athletes, and then subsequently professional athletes, hopefully. And we tell this to parents all the time, said, the commitment comes from the child, but the commitment also comes from the parent. Because if someone has to drop the kids to the facility, someone has to pick them up, someone has to make sure they eat well, they sleep well, A, B, C, D.
Right.
The child will eventually develop their own habits, and this is why I talk about habits. It's like, you create these good habits, and then the child automatically does it himself or herself. But there's always that from the parents or the circle of the family, whoever is the guardians of the kids, to make sure that the child is ready for practice, child is ready for tournaments. Then they're dropped to tournaments, they're picked up from tournaments. So it's a heavy commitment. But from what I've seen from most parents who do it, they don't look at it as a sacrifice. They look at it as, this is part of the trade.
Right.
So, and usually that's where you can identify the people who are serious versus not. So it's not really a sacrifice if you really want to do it. you know, and I think most parents who are competitive understand that.
Again, I think I'm really honing in on this because I think you had competitive parents. You're a competitive parent.
Yeah.
Your child is competitive. I'll give my own example. I didn't have competitive parents. My parents didn't have competitive parents.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when it came to me doing sport, I would get into it. Like I said,
Yeah.
it was fun for a couple of years,
Sure.
and then I would drop out. And that happened to me
Sure.
with a lot of things.
Sure.
So I think it would be really nice if you could tell us, you know, how somebody who hasn't had competitive parents. I don't have, you know, if I have a child, or let's
Yeah.
say my sisters have kids.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for those parents who don't have that role model? How can they maybe change the way that they think to be more committed, let's
Yeah.
say, to pushing their kids to get to a certain level?
Yeah, and yeah, that's always the case, right? Like you have, look, parents will always want the best for their kids, 99.9% of the time, for the most part. Sometimes it's sports, sometimes it's not sports. But in the world of sports, I think it's important for parents to also find a social circle that's similar, or some kind of circle environment that's similar. Because, you know, I fully believe that you're always a product of your environment. So if you surround yourself by like-minded people, you will be that kind, you know, and whatever that is, right? So for parents who haven't had the role models, like you said, you know, like yourself, you know, if some of your friends have kids who are competitive in sports, you will start to think that way. Right. So I think that's one of the first steps. The other thing is also, you'll be surprised at how many of the kids motivate the parents to do it. Because when they see their kids, when parents see their child are excelling in something, they automatically gravitate to make it better for them, in my opinion, right? So it's a two-way street, you know, and we forget sometimes how much we learn from kids, right? At our tennis academy, you know, we have many kids, and every day of the week you'll see parents just waiting an hour and a half, 2 hours, just waiting for their kids to play, just waiting for their kids to go through training and then take them home to do homework and then on to the next day. So, but you know, they could easily be running errands or just dropping them, coming back, but they don't want to because they actually want to see it. So, you know, parents like that kind of create this circle where they feed off each other to help each other become better at that, right?
I think I love what you just said. I think it's your peer group. It's the community that you have
100%.
that are like-minded.
100%.
I mean, for me, I got into professional bodybuilding. I competed several times.
I can tell.
And thank you. I hope that's a compliment.
It is. It is.
But I think for me, I never had that. And it took me a long time. I started to compete when I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Mid-30s.
Yeah.
So it was quite far into my old age.
Your words again.
But I had to find that motivation within myself.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have it growing up, it took me a lot more to say, okay, I need to get committed. This is what commitment means. This is what discipline means. I never had that.
Yeah.
And I was never told, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go and swim in a cold pool. You know, I have friends who their kids are swimming at 5 o'clock in the morning. And like you said, the kids then, once you develop that habit, they're the ones who are waking up and saying, no, I need to go. Mm-hmm. Even if the parent is like, oh, are you sure you want to go today? Or I'm feeling lazy to drop you. No, I really want to go. So I think the parents have to put in that time in the beginning, and then it just gets transferred to the kid, and then the kid can run with it themselves.
Sure.
But the other thing I'll say is there are also a lot of parents out there that I acknowledge that have full-time jobs, for example.
Yeah.
You know, I have 2 examples within my own family, both my sisters.
Sure.
And the commitment that they have towards their kids, you have to put in so much more work to say, I will send you regardless of I can't be there.
Correct.
And you don't want to go without me, but you have to almost, like I said, the tough love part. You have to push your kids to do things that they don't want to do. And I never had that.
Yeah. No, you have to have that. You know, you have to kickstart that engine for them.
Right.
And so that they develop those habits. And then, you know, like you said, in your 30s, you got into professional bodybuilding, but you found the motivation for that.
Yeah.
So that was your path, right? And it's never too late in life to find your path, I don't think, right? But, you know, with kids, you hope that they find their path earlier. And this is where at 13, 14, this is where it happens. 13 to 15, 12 to 15, this is where I find that it happens. Is they have to start picking a lane, and you'll see their automatic kind of motivation towards it. You'll see that the child loves tennis, or that the child loves football or golf. You'll see it. You'll feel it. You'll see it in their demeanor. Right? That's what I truly believe. Yeah.
And just being open to making sure that you see and you identify that, whatever it
and just
be.
accept it. I mean, like, of course, we can guide them the way we want to. We like to guide them the way we want to, but just, I'm facing that right now. So I just have to be. I just have to accept that, right? Yeah.
And in terms of, I think this question is a little bit obvious for most of us, but do you feel like because you were so into sport, it kind of kept you as a child and now your daughter, we'll call it trouble for lack of a better word, but did it keep you out of trouble, or do you feel like you had, you had to wake up to train, you had to sleep early so that you could compete the next day? So do you feel like it shaped you as a person?
For sure. Because you develop, again, I wanted to train X amount of hours a week, and at that time, what was that, in the 90s, training was very different than it is today. We would play 6 to 8 hours a week. Today, kids are playing 20 hours a week.
Wow.
So the world of sport has changed. It's much more scientific, it's much more measured, it's much more calculated. But still, my mom, for example, who was very disciplined as a person, I was only allowed once a month. I was only allowed out once a month.
Wow.
Yeah. She's like, look, you pick your party or whatever it is when I was 16, but you go once a month and that's it.
So did you sneak out?
Never.
Never? Really?
I wasn't gutsy like that. My brothers did, but I was,
My brothers were like, no, my mom. I even got smacked for it a couple times.
My mom was a hawk, man. She could hear everything. So, and I never was a rule breaker like that. But she said, you pick one night that you're going to go out, and that's it, in that whole month.
Amazing.
So while all my friends were out, I was at home just doing nothing, and because there was a different time at that time. It
was a different time. We didn't have as many distractions as they have now. We were talking earlier about social media.
100%. No, 100%.
And you're so much more exposed to what other people are doing, not only within your friend circle, what people are doing in other countries. And I find that having kids be more focused now is so much harder than it was with us.
For sure.
We had TV. I think we had, was it KCB?
KTN came out when I was...
KTN
came out when we were teenagers.
Right. Yeah. We had KCB, and I remember that it was we had one show a weekend or something like that, and you just watch that one show and then you're done.
Yeah, man, I know. Yeah, it's but that discipline I still carry today. Yeah. So I think my mom passed away many years ago, but I thank her truly for that, because it's really kept me disciplined as a person, right?
Right.
So it's definitely important. I think discipline is very important because it goes hand in hand with sport.
Absolutely,
hand in hand.
100%.
Yeah, hand in hand.
And I think it's great for kids. Like I said, I didn't have it until I was in my 30s, but I feel like the discipline I have now, I would never give it up for anything. Even when I think what happens is that the whole concept of the peer group.
Yeah.
When I'm around like-minded people who understand where I'm coming from, it doesn't feel like it's uncomfortable for them. And I think it's important for kids to surround themselves with people who understand 100%. Their discipline. Otherwise, just like adults, you won't go out, or you won't do this, or you won't come party, or you won't, skip training.
Yeah.
Why not? And peers can put so much pressure on people to break that discipline.
Yeah.
So I think it's also really important, and that leads me into your club. I think that's such a great thing that you guys have done.
Thank you.
And maybe you can tell me a little bit more about it in terms of, it's a first of its kind multi-racket sport club in East Africa.
Yeah, and it's a pay-as-you-play, so non-membership based sports club, Racquet Club specifically, in Nairobi and Loresho. It came about as, fundamentally it was going to be a tennis academy, tennis facility, tennis center. I decided to diversify it just to kind of be more inclusive to other sports, but also a wider group of people. Because what we wanted to create was a racket club for families. Individuals, but also families, right? And it came about when we moved back from Canada, and there never was a plan to do this. It was always like a pipe dream, fun, it would have been a nice project, like dream project to do. But it actually came into reality when Sienna was coaching, like when she was doing tennis. Sienna is my daughter. When she was doing tennis, And I saw there was a gap in the market in terms of structured programs. So this kind of led to this, and you know, I found that for me as a tennis player coming back into Kenya, I had to be a member of a club, a sports club, and we didn't necessarily want to do that for financial reasons, for you know, for the commitment of just being stuck to that one club. So we didn't want to do that, and this is why we came up with this non-membership pay-as-you-play racket club. So we currently have tennis, we have paddle, we have pickleball, we have a bistro restaurant on site, and we also have a fitness and wellness center.
Wow.
Right? And within that, we have a tennis academy for kids. So we take kids from ages 3.5 to about 18, 19.
Okay.
Right?
And you think that, and so that creates that environment of kids can meet people
100%.
who are like-minded. They can also, I think it lends to, what's the word? What am I trying to say? When kids watch adults playing, I think that you have something to strive. You're looking up at, if my parents can do this, or if somebody else's parents can do this, or the adults can do this, then I can do this too.
Funny. And both ways. So when kids are watching adults, they get motivated to play.
Right.
They get incentivized. They get motivated to play. But what's happening now is I'm seeing that a lot of parents who are young parents with young kids themselves have stopped doing sports for the last 5-10 years because they're new parents, maybe new careers, new business, whatever. So they're coming back into the sports thing. So just this week we had 2 parents who haven't played, from 2 different families, who haven't played tennis in 10-15 years, have just started doing lessons. So we have lessons for adults as well. So it's amazing to see, like I said, you know, you also learn from your kids. So these 2 parents, their kids are in the academy, and because they're in the academy, they're like, hey, I want to get back into tennis.
Well, absolutely, because you want to actually play with your kids too. I mean, if you're going on holiday, your kids want to play, and you're just like, well, I don't know how to play. So I can see how that works both ways.
Yeah, it's really rewarding to see that. I mean, when I mean rewarding, not financially, I'm saying rewarding to see people of all walks of life come and play some kind of sport, you know, and take up sports and do it the right way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to know why, in your opinion, you think paddle, because paddle's gone crazy. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. It is the fastest growing sport in the world.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I think in the last few years, we've just seen a huge paddle craze, especially in Kenya. What, in your opinion, what's the thinking, what's the reason behind paddle being such a massive sport?
You know, paddle is like, so I think I read somewhere that, you know, Kenya itself is one of the top 10 fastest growing paddle countries in the world.
Wow.
Top 10, top 15, I think top 10. It's really taken off well because it's an easier sport to pick up than tennis. It doesn't have a membership plan to it, so you don't have to be a member of a club. So there's a lot of facilities around Nairobi and Kenya generally where there's no membership, right? So you don't have to be a member. But I think that the biggest thing is that because there's way more facilities of paddle courts than tennis courts, for example, it's easier to get into.
Right.
There's a non-membership criteria, which is very good, but it's also an easy sport to pick up. And you can play it at different levels. Tennis is the kind of sport you have to reach a certain level before you enjoy it. So you have to put in hundreds of hours, you know, dozens to hundreds of hours before you can start what's called rallying, playing with somebody. Whereas in paddle, you could have never played racket sports in your life, and you just pick up a paddle and you take a ball and you just play with your friends.
Brilliant.
So that's what's really escalated the growth of paddle, and the same has worked for pickleball.
Okay.
So pickleball has become very big has been big in North America for the last 5-7 years. You know, paddle has always been big in countries like Argentina and Spain. Now it's taking this mass movement around Europe, the Middle East, Africa. So it's really and now the US is growing quite well with paddle.
Okay. So
I think it's going to keep growing. On a business perspective, you know, sometimes it's more rewarding. It's more financially viable than tennis courts, because tennis courts is pretty much double the size of one tennis court is almost double the size of paddle courts. You can't just put a tennis court anywhere. And same with pickleball. Pickleball, you know, what's called the revenue per square foot is much higher than tennis, as is paddle. So this is why you're seeing this growth in terms of facilities coming up. Right. So I think it's gonna keep growing. The sports are gonna keep growing.
Is the pickleball court similar to the badminton one?
The pickleball court itself is about the size of a paddle court when you look around what's called the runaround area.
Okay.
So within the same square footage, you can either have a paddle court or a pickleball court, right? Give and take. Which are about 60% the size of a tennis court.
Wow.
Yeah. So, tennis courts are quite large when you think about it.
Absolutely.
And you can't just put them anywhere, right?
True.
I mean, we searched long and hard to find a good property that could accommodate 3 tennis courts. And, so it's
on the
it's gonna
property,
keep
you
it.
have 3 tennis courts.
We have 3 red clay tennis courts, like you see in Europe.
Okay.
And we have 2 pickleball courts. And then we have a fitness, like I said, a fitness center.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything to do with any table tennis?
We do have table tennis as a semi-permanent fixture, so
Okay.
we kind of modify the wellness center to accommodate table tennis,
Okay.
which we do currently. Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Well, for one, I love paddle.
I know.
I have not. I mean, apart from, like I mentioned, when I was, I don't know, like 12 to 15 or something, I played tennis, and then I was off racket sports completely my entire adult life.
Yeah.
And I got into paddle, and I picked it up a lot quicker than I think I would have. I didn't even really enjoy play. I used to play tennis again socially when I was young.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy playing paddle, and I think that's.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it is a sport that people can pick up.
Sure.
You're a great trainer.
Thank you.
I think
Thank you.
it would be great. There's some very good trainers in Kenya. If you go to any of these paddle courts or the Racquet Club, people who have never played before can take classes.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And I think you just need a couple of classes before you can actually start playing.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to get the fundamentals, right?
Yeah,
to learn the
exactly.
fundamentals. So do a couple of classes. Learn the fundamentals. Obviously, the rules you can pick up on your own. It's not an issue. But the fundamentals, because that's what's going to make you get better and better as you go.
Well, actually, there's a lot of, now that I think about it, there's also a lot of injuries that come from paddle. I think because the paddle is so light, I wish I'd brought one here with us today, but the paddle is very light. So what I did notice is that my wrist kind of does this a lot.
Yeah.
I did develop some kind of a niggle in my elbow, which was on its way to becoming tennis elbow. So I think that's also really important for people to learn how to hold it, how to maneuver with that paddle, how to hit the ball in the correct way.
Yeah, how to hold the paddle, how to, there's also the fundamentals of learning to stretch and warm up before you play.
Sure.
And then cool down after,
Yeah, my physiotherapist tells me that a lot.
And especially as we get older, so a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people are picking up a racket sport for the first time in paddle. So it's a whole different beast than playing football or cricket or golf or whatever it is. So, they don't really understand the intricacies of that.
Right.
So that's why it's very important to have a good coach if you're starting the game.
Yeah.
To learn fundamentals, but also to learn how to be injury-free. Injuries will always be there as part of sports, but you can minimize it as much as possible. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's with everything, with weightlifting too.
Oh, for sure.
So Aleem, a question a little bit, let's just move the direction a little bit towards more of the mindset and values. So what are the kind of mindset and values that were most important for you to pass on to your daughter, and maybe something that you can tell us that you can pass on to fellow athletes as well?
I firmly believe discipline is a huge part of sport. Discipline and routine, because it's important for, if you look at professional athletes today, if you look at LeBron James, you look at Djokovic, you look at whoever it is, they all have similar patterns to how they operate. And they're very routine in the way they warm up before a match. They're very routine in the way they prepare for a tournament. They're very routine after that. Not necessarily just the foods they eat, but their habits, right? And you find that, there's a reason they do that. There's a reason they do that. And the reason they do that is because it creates muscle memory, it creates automation, it creates habit, it kills the nerves. It helps subside the nerves, right? So I think it's very important. I mean, for me, I hope my daughter when she looks at me, I hope she sees that I have a lot of discipline when it comes to sport. I do love to compete. So, even at this age, I'm old, but not that old. I'm mid-40s. I'm 46. It's okay. I'll say it. I'll say.
All the women out there, he's 46.
46.
He said it.
47 in a few months, but 46 for now. I still love to compete. And actually, I love competing more now than I did before. It's funny because I'm wiser, right? Like I'm smarter in many ways. So I do that because I love it, but I also do it because I want my daughter to see that it's a lifestyle thing.
Right.
It's not temporary. It's a lifestyle thing.
Let's go into that with a little bit more detail.
Okay.
The difference between, for those people who don't understand, discipline versus routine, because I think this is a very good thing to talk about. Okay. And I'll tell you my experience about the same, but I want to hear from you first.
Sure. All right, so discipline would be, okay, let me rewind time when I was like 17, 18, 19. Discipline would be, I got to go to bed early because I have practice in the morning. Or I got to go to bed early, I got to eat well because I have a tournament tomorrow. I have to train hard this week or the next 2 weeks because I have a tournament coming. That's discipline. But you put in the hours for that. Yeah. Routine is, what do I do before getting to a tournament? How do I practice? How do I do? Discipline is saying, I feel like shit today, but I got to put it in. I feel like, I'm not feeling well, or I just feeling lazy, and it happens to everybody. It's that, how do you just excel a bit more? And I read somewhere, I don't know where it was, and I apologize if I'm plagiarizing, but I read somewhere that the difference between the high achievers and, let's say, the not so high achievers is only 10 to 15%.
Wow.
So you find that people who just coast and those who excel is a bit more than that, but usually there's from good to excellent, it's only 10, 15%. And I've always tried to live by that motto. Sometimes, most of the times it's worked, sometimes it doesn't work. But when you feel like crap you would know, because powerlifting, bodybuilding is super, super strenuous on you. And if you're not 100%, then you get injured or whatever, right? So that's what I would say is discipline. Is discipline. Routine is the day-to-days and how you lead up to certain events and what you do during those events.
I mean, I could not have said it better. And I think that you require both. So there's a lot of people out there who say, oh, I'm very disciplined, but they don't have the routine. And I think you need to have both. Yeah. And like you said, as an athlete myself, a different kind of athlete, the discipline is saying that it doesn't matter how tough it is. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get the work done. Correct. It's that mindset. It's like really change. I'm going to eat my 100 grams of chicken and I'm not going to eat 105. Yeah. I have to eat 3 when I'm competing. You eat every 3 hours. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, which situation you're in. If you're sitting in the middle of a meeting, the discipline is saying, no, I am committed to this process and I'm going to open my Tupperware and I'm going to have my meal. Or, there's times where I would be in a big boardroom and I'd have to excuse myself to go to the bathroom, and I'd literally go into the bathroom, open up my meal and eat my meal. And that's what I had to do. That was the discipline that I had. Yeah. The routine is saying you're taking the mind out of it and you're saying that this is what my body requires. So it's more like saying, how do I put, making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do at the lead up to your final destination, whether it's a competition or whatever it might be. The routine is saying that I go to the gym every day at 6 a.m. Or I go to the gym every evening, and then there is a social event or something like that. And people are like, okay, but you can do this at 5, or you can do that at 8, or you can, can't you go in the morning? Yeah. But the routine is, I get this done at this particular time each and every day, and that's what I need to stick to. So discipline is more like the mindset. Routine is more like what your body needs to do. Yeah, the execution of it. Right. Yeah. Agreed. And I think that's what people miss out. Is like, I have the discipline, I don't drink alcohol. Yeah. Okay. But do you have the routine to say that I don't drink alcohol, but I make sure that I have this in my meal, this is the time that I eat, this is the time that I train, even if it's, waking up at, you see Rocky Balboa. I mean, I love that movie. Yeah. He was up every morning And it's not like you don't go from 5 to 5:30 today, tomorrow it's going to be 6, the day after it's going to be 4.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that routine saying that my mind and my body need to be awake at 5, and this is what I need to do at 5 o'clock in the morning.
And that creates automation.
Exactly.
So I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you're watching, take professional basketball. You watch LeBron James, you watch the late Kobe Bryant, you watch Michael Jordan, you watch any of these super, high-profile athletes. They always have the same routine before taking a free throw, probably a free throw. Sorry, I don't know if you've noticed that. So if you look at the bounces, all the same bounces.
Oh, really?
So Michael Jordan will do it a certain way. LeBron James will do it a certain way. If you look at Roger Federer, he will always set up to the baseline before serving the same way.
Wow.
Bounce the ball. Even Nadal, if you notice, Nadal had he had nervous twitches or whatever you call them. It's always the same because that creates automation.
Yeah.
So take a look at that next time, and everyone listening, whoever is listening, take a look at that. See that it's the same thing that they do.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and that's automation.
But I'm again, my only reference point is bodybuilding. Yeah. And if you look at the old bodybuilders, you look at Arnold and you look at, Franco and you look at all the old guys, maybe the new ones now too, but I'm obsessed with the old school bodybuilding. Sure. They all did the same routine, the same exercises each and every time. There was very little room for maybe instead of doing instead of doing a hammer curl, you're doing a regular bicep curl. But in terms of the routine, it was exactly the same. And now I feel like people are just looking for variety. So I have a lot of clients that come to me like, oh, are we doing the same exercises again? Well, yeah, actually you are doing the same exercise because that's what creates routine.
Yeah.
That's what's going to get your body to where it needs to be because of that routine.
Sure.
And I can imagine that with sport as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, sports today is way more scientific and calculated than what it was 30 years ago, right? Tennis is no exception. So if you look at training drills if you look at the olden days of Edberg and Becker and all these guys, and they were always told just eat pasta, right?
Right.
Replenish. Now it's like, it's completely different. It's a different menu altogether, and that's just the food side of things. The training, so everything. The world of sport has changed. The world of competitive sport has changed. Yeah.
Speaking of food, now that's just because I'm super interested in this topic in terms of nutrition. I'm sure when you were a kid, it wasn't important to have certain types of meals or protein, all of that.
Yeah, no.
Do you feel in your profession that when you see kids now, is there a benefit for them to be eating a certain way?
For sure. I mean, nutrition, look, I learned this later in life, that nutrition is a huge component of performance, yeah? And again, that's because we weren't taught any better. Again, this comes down to that environment, right? The peer group. Not that I had friends who didn't eat well. It's not that. It's just it never was a thing to eat well for sports. Now it's I see kids now at 14, 15 who are on a strict diet. Because they realize that it affects their performance.
Right.
So yeah, no, nutrition is I would go as far as saying that nutrition is sometimes the differentiator between performance in the long term. Sorry?
It's that 10%.
There's that 10%. It's the differentiator between the long-term performance of a child as an athlete versus someone who just doesn't eat well.
Right.
And
And I guess that also comes in the whole bracket of discipline. It's discipline.
Discipline and environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's eating well is it's not easy, as you know, probably better than anyone, because there's a lot of food out there that is just comfort food and just not good for you, man. But it's that I think nutrition and is a mindset thing. I have a terrible sweet tooth. Chocolate is like my.
I should make you some of my sugar-free cookies.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'll have the real ones.
Well, you can afford.
No, I'm just kidding.
You can afford to. You probably play one game of paddle, or you train 3 clients, and you've burned probably 5, 7, 800 calories.
But if you don't eat that and you perform after that, then your body just gets better and better. Right. So it's this mindset of learning about nutrition, which I wish I had known about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, even more. I wish I had known that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
I mean, it wasn't accessible.
It wasn't a thing. Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
For me, was what I remember when I was in university, and I switched from eating white bread to whole wheat bread, and I thought I was making the biggest difference in the whole world. So.
When did you start changing your nutrition? Like,
Oh, just when I started competing.
so in
I
your
had
30s.
no idea. I didn't. First of all, I've struggled from a lot of gut issues. I've had IBS growing up. When I was a kid, we didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
You know, I was completely lactose and dairy intolerant.
Really?
And I would come home from school and drink, like, you know, we had those Tetra packs of KCC milk.
Yeah.
And I would drink 2 of those
Yeah.
without even, it was my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I was like comatose for like a
Really?
whole evening.
Shit.
And my parents would give me some herbal medicine because we didn't have a clue what it was, what the cause was. And it wasn't until I went to university and I would eat something and then I would be like curled up in bed, not able to move, that the person I was dating at the time took me to the doctor and he was like, oh my God, you have like all of these intolerances, you have IBS, you have all of these things, listed them off. And even at that time, I was just like, I don't understand what to do with this information.
Yeah, it's a different world, man. Like
Absolutely.
we weren't educated on it. It was not a thing.
No,
you know.
no.
Yeah, I mean, so nutrition, I think, is super, super important.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I see a big difference in my life after
For sure.
understanding what the nutrition does for me.
Yeah.
And I'm well into my 40s and I feel younger than I've ever felt before. Just because I know that there's some things that I can and I cannot eat. And
You look younger than you ever looked before.
what are you saying, that I used to look older before? That's
I had
like
to throw one in
that
there.
was a half compliment, you know.
It
that,
was
right?
one
It was
of
a
my
half,
one of
okay.
my specialties. Yeah.
Half is better than nothing.
Half is better than nothing. That's right.
Okay, I'm going to mention your daughter a little bit because I have immense respect and
Thank you.
admiration for her.
Thank you.
I've seen her on the paddle court. I see a lot of the traits that you had when you were younger in terms of her complete focus and discipline when it comes to, I've only watched her play paddle. And she is incredible at the sport. She's also, her demure, I find that she's very grounded. And I love that about her because I think sport can also feed your ego.
100%.
You know, you can go out there, you win a whole bunch of games, you think
Yeah.
you're... do you feel like you've passed on that aspect? Because, I mean, I watched you play even at this time. You said you love competing. But the way that you compete, the way that you are on the court is very much like what I see in your daughter. In terms of, you know, there's no like yelling and screaming and saying I won or, you know, not that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just that I feel that the less ego we have, the more the person shines. Does this make sense?
Yeah, you know, look, I have my days, huh? I have my days, but where my daughter kind of excels, in my opinion, is she's very good at handling the pressure situations at that age. For her age to be you know, that's definitely one of her weapons. And, you know, we're trying to just develop that more. And you know, she doesn't feel the pressure of like big points, and she doesn't feel. And for her age, not to feel that is excellent. It's honestly a huge advantage. So, you know, I am very impressed with that, and that's not something I taught her. I mean, I think she's seen it from me, but I think it's her own knack that's coming out.
Because I can see how that can get to the point where it can almost discourage you on the court. You know, if you lose a point or you have that pressure where I need to perform in a certain way and I haven't performed.
Pressure is a big thing, man. Pressure is a big thing in sports. I mean, it's the biggest thing, right? Like people can, you know, there's a saying, like people can practice like, you know, professional players, but when they get into a match situation, they falter. So, you know, that's a big thing in sports, right? So, you know, with my daughter, she's very good at handling pressure situations, which I'm very impressed at. And I you know, we just with one of the coaches, we're looking at like expanding on that and harnessing that, so it's better and better by the day, right?
But that being said, so I don't ever, whether I'm bodybuilding or I'm playing paddle or anything of the sort, in life in general, I've never put myself in that position where I like to compete. I always believe that everyone has a fair and equal chance, and if you do better than me, I'm okay with that, and I'm just not a very competitive person. However, I don't believe that trait is good for when you're trying to be a professional athlete. I think there needs to be some drive. There needs to be something that pushes you to be better or to compete or to win. And so how do you balance that? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? Like you still have to give into the pressure a little bit so that you can be better at
I think that's where the discipline comes in, yeah? The discipline to be better and better.
Yeah.
So there's and learning from situations, right? So you learn you know I tell my daughter this. I said, we have to stay humble in our victories, you know, and build on our weaknesses or failures, right? So it's important that even though you win tournaments, it's not the end of the road. There's still more tournaments. You know, in Rafael Nadal's book, his uncle, who was his coach, after he won the first French Open, he told him, "Look, I'm giving you 1 day to celebrate. The next day, you're back on court."
Right.
Right. So it's always striving to be better. You can always be better than what you are. You can be better than what you are. I can be better. Everyone can be better than what they are. So it's just developing that mentality that I think helps athletes take that next step, and that's the 10% I'm talking about. Because you could win, local tournaments and think you're the best thing since sliced bread, but let me tell you, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I want to keep my daughter humble about that it's great that I'm very proud of her that she wins. But there's plenty more to go. And there's plenty more to go. And same with our academy kids, not just my daughter. They're excellent. They're great players. We have kids that are ranked under 14, under 16 in Africa. We have kids that are ranked top 3 in Kenya. We have, one of our juniors was 14, was at the semifinals of the ITF last week, under 18. So amazing results, but there's still more to go. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a fine balance between being competitive and then just, it's not coaxing, but it's saying that I want to be better. So I'll give you an example. When I step on stage as an athlete, I compete against myself.
Yeah.
Now, bodybuilding is a very individual sport, so it's not like you're letting down a team or you're with someone and you have anyone that you need to fall back on or even impress.
Sure.
But I step on stage and I want to be better than I was the last time I stepped on stage. However, if I don't come first, of course, you put in the work and you want to come first. That's
sure.
Every athlete strives to come first. But if I don't, I'm like, it's okay. As long as I put in my 100% and I did better than I was before, I'm happy with where I am. However, I know there's some people who look at it and say, I will not be happy unless I'm first. And so, you have that with Arnold. Arnold was like, the world can come to an end, but I will be first. I will put in whatever it takes to be first.
Sure.
But if they're not first, it's almost like, well, third is just not good enough. So I don't know, as a professional athlete, like how do you draw that balance? You want to be first, but how do you say, okay, well, I am where I am, and there's room for improvement?
Well, that's what I meant by, you stay humble in your victories and you learn from your shortcomings, right? So, Arnold, like you said, but Arnold also had this ridiculous, in a good way, impressive discipline.
Yes.
That,
absolutely.
And even I listened to the late Kobe Bryant's things all the times, and he was training at 4 a.m. And there's colleagues who say, they would show up on the court at 5 a.m. thinking that I'd beat Kobe, but Kobe was already there, finished practicing, ice on his knees, and already in recovery mode. And he'd been practicing for 2 hours. So you got to be the first, you have to train like the first. Yeah. You can't just wake up and say, I'm going to be the first. Yeah. Obviously, I've never reached that stage, but you can understand that what these people put into their training and their discipline and their habits is they think like the first, they act like the first, they train like the first. You don't just wake up and say, hey, I'm first.
And is this a mindset that you feel like that you are able to help mold your daughter into?
Yeah, look, I try to impart as much wisdom as I can on her. And she's a teenager, so she's like, in one ear, out the other, right? But she, somewhere in there, some nuggets stay in, the nuggets of wisdom stay in there, and then hopefully, and I do the same with the academy kids. And then you also have to balance, like, giving advice versus, like, sounding like sounding like you're just, on breathing down their necks, right? And they'll find their own path, they'll find their own path where they realize, I should have done this, or I should do this, and so you have to also let them find that rhythm. But yeah, I try, and everyone on our coaching staff tries for all our academy kids. and then it's up to the kid. Yeah,
Sure.
it's up to the kid, because if the kid's not responsive to receiving, it doesn't matter what you say.
I think the easier thing is when you start young, and then it doesn't feel like
Build
it's
habits.
because for me it feels like an effort to think in this certain way.
Yeah, build habits. Yeah,
And if a kid is growing up and already thinking that I see it with my 3-year-old nephew. You know, he always says, "I won," or "I'm the winner," and you can see that if you leverage that and you let it grow, that it will become part of their DNA. It was never part of mine. So maybe for me it feels like an effort, but for them it's already it's of course I want to win. You know, this is what I'm aiming for. This is what I'm training for.
You're a product of your environment, man.
Yeah.
If you grow up in that environment, that's what you'll be. You know, and that's what you'll be. That's what you'll be exposed to. That's what your mind is going to think like. Right. And what you do with it is up to you then. Right.
So I think my last question for you would be, what is your advice? And this could turn into your legacy. So there's no pressure, but what's your advice for upcoming athletes, given everything that you've experienced and what you're currently experiencing with an athlete for a daughter?
You know, I first of all, you know, hats off to all the kids who want to be aspiring athletes.
You can talk to the camera now. Yeah.
You know, just keep building on it. It's a journey. It's not a race. You don't. It won't happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a year. It's not going to happen in 2 years. It's a journey. You know, and just be determined. Be disciplined. Be humble in your victories, and learn from your mistakes. You know, that's what I would say. I think. Put the time in. If you want to be number one, train like you're number one. Train like you're going to be number one. Don't just wake up and say, I'm going to be number one. All right. If I could tell my older version, like the younger version of myself, would be that. Just be, you know, the 10-15% more that you're going to do is going to take you to the next level. And so forth for the rest of your life. That's what I believe. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Work with that 10%. Be 10% better than your old self. Be 10% better than yesterday. Be 10% better than your peers.
Yeah.
And that's going to take you so far.
Yeah, for sure. I fully believe in that. Yeah, those are my words of wisdom.
Amazing. Well, that's brilliant.
At the wise age of 46.
I mean, I'm happy that you said you are open about your age. I don't think I'm revealing mine anytime soon.
No, it's okay. She's older than me now. No, I'm just kidding.
Edit that.
No, don't. Keep it in there.
This was absolutely incredible. And
thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm really grateful that you came on.
Thank you.
Shared some of your very insightful parenting tips and athlete tips.
Thank you. And thanks for having me.
And your daughter is spectacular. So anyone who has not been to the 254 Racquet Club, it's in Loresho. I highly recommend everyone goes there. Go take a look, take a class, you know, try a paddle or pickleball session, bring some friends. The food is exceptional. It's not sugar-free, but it is really good. No, I'm kidding. There's some really good healthy options as well. So 254 Loresho, 254 Racquet Club Loresho.
Correct. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And it's a wrap. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with parents who are looking to get their kids into sport. We're going to cover everything that they need to know to make an impact in their kids' lives.